I want to start with a quote this morning before you start, Connie. I want to set a theme for us this morning, because what we're here to do is to talk about community this morning, to talk about the importance of community and what community is when it reaches beyond the boundaries of not only our individual group of unity members, but on into the people who we associate with and work with and build relationship with, and then beyond that, even out into the world in new ways. So this is a quote by Polly Murray, and one I want you to just take into heart as we begin this morning. And the quote is this: "True community is based upon equality, mutuality, and reciprocity. It affirms the richness of individual diversity as well as the common human ties that bind us together." Connie?
I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and the green was easy and the rivers ran clear. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and peace spread over the land. And the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and the way was easy and the path was clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. And the guardian stars are shining, and the night is bright and clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang. The sound was easy, the song was clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land, and the ancient pain is forgotten, and the Father's debts are clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land, and the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came.
Thank you, Connie. What a beautiful way to start as we come together this morning, knowing there are literally hundreds and hundreds of fires burning across our country right now. What a wonderful way to start shifting our energy around that and understand that we have an influence on the world, don't we? Such a beautiful song. Thank you for starting us with it this morning and for the visualization. Really beautiful. We are here this morning, friends with good work in front of us. And I'm so grateful to see all of you. If you have not done so, please do put your screen in gallery view for a minute. That's really easy to do. You can just slide your cursor up to the right-hand corner at the top and go into gallery view and look across the screen. Take a moment to see the friends who are gathered here with you today, because they're real people. We have people from all over here today. We have people from France, and we have people from Rhode Island, and we have people from Massachusetts, and we have people from Wisconsin. We have people from all over the place here with us today, and that is such an amazing and powerful thing. And of course, we have so many familiar faces, don't we? Those of us who have been gathering together, we welcome you. If this is your first time, you are welcome, and we ask you to consider yourselves part of the family, to walk into this morning's experience as though you've been here all along, because somehow, if you are here, your heart is tied to ours. And that's really what we want to talk about today. How we tie our hearts together and what it means to be community, what it means to be specifically inclusive community, which for Unity Spiritual Center in the Rockies has been a very important part of our mission, hasn't it? Our mission, which states we are an inclusive spiritual community, as its very first words. Everything else that we do in our work together, in our spiritual growth, in our sharing of life, runs first through the words, we are an inclusive spiritual community. And 3 years ago at this time, we decided to take our level of inclusivity deeper. I shouldn't say we decided, because we actually decided several months earlier than that. But we stepped fully into it the beginning of August 3 years ago, when we invited High Plains Church, Unitarian Universalist, to come into our building, share sacred space, and come to know us, and for us to come to know them. This is a big step for us. It was a really big step. And we did work in preparation for that. And today, we're celebrating beginning our 3rd year together. And that too has been a big step, especially in light of everything that's gone on in the last few months. Figuring out how we not only stay connected to one another, but how we stay connected as the bigger Unity campus has been a bit of work for all of us. Important work, because being inclusive is about more than just sharing space. So this morning I want to, first of all, welcome Reverend Julia McKay, who some of you saw earlier. She'll be joining me in speaking this morning. And I want to invite you to move yourself backwards just for a short time. Julia and I have done some reflecting on what we would want to share and what we would want to do to tie our communities together even more deeply, to really build a solid bond between us. And so one of the first things that came to us as we talked about this was reflecting back on what we decided it meant. Who did we want to be as an inclusive spiritual community when we invited another community to join us? What were the qualities that we talked about 3 years ago in preparation for welcoming High Plains? I wonder how many of you remember. I remembered a few of them, and I still had to go back. I still had to go back and look. So here we are revisiting this, and I ask you first to just check in on your heart and to ask yourself, have you made connection? Has High Plains become part of your soul? Have you made a connection? Gandhi said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And when we first started this, we saw it as an act of service, didn't we? That we would open not only because we were ready to be more inclusive, but we would open because there was an opportunity to be of service. And we would open with the quality of hospitality. Now, hospitality simply means to make someone feel comfortable. That we would start by doing our best to welcome another community into our space and to make the people who were part of that community comfortable. It was a bigger challenge. It was a bigger challenge than we thought. Because when you bring somebody into your home, you say, let me get you a cup of coffee. Do you need anything? Not much to it. But when you invite 150 other people into your home, it's a big act to fix coffee for everyone, isn't it? So we stepped into the idea of hospitality through the expression that every person that we met, we would greet as the face of God. That we would see the holy in each person. It's a powerful intention. That we would serve each person in our interactions as though they brought forward the face of God. Again, a powerful intention, one we might have lost track of. Here's my question. Have we, over our first 3 years, reduced our friends to cohabitants? It's a question, one each of us has to ask. Have we considered our friends guests eternally? Or have we welcomed them in and made them comfortable? Just think about it. Authenticity was our second quality. We knew that to invite high planes in, we would need to be able to be strong in our authenticity. We are different faith communities with different ideas and different principles. And many of them match very well, and some of them are very different. We think differently, and we have learned we have very different cultures, meaning we do things, our processes and governances are different. We wanted to be authentic. We wanted to come forth as living from our own principles while authentically inviting high planes to be genuine in their expression. Myrtle Fillmore said the real purpose of life is to express the creation of God. Most of us take that to heart. Have we been that? Have we expressed ourselves as the holy face? Have we lived from the holy heart in our expressions? Or have we, in our process, forgotten to listen to our friends, forgotten to open our ears to learn how we are different? Because authenticity is about more than just being who you are. Authenticity is about welcoming diversity, isn't it? And we talked a lot about that, about welcoming each other as different, not just welcoming the similarities, but approaching the differences with an interest and a curiosity, and with a blessing that diversity grows us. Diversity invites us to be more than we are, not less. It never reduces us. It always expands us. So have we welcomed diversity? Have we opened ourselves authentically and also received the authentic expression? Just a question. Albert Camus said, "Too many have dispensed with generosity in the name of charity." Generosity was an important quality for us. We wanted to be generous of spirit. What does it mean to be generous versus to offer charity? So charity generally comes from an awareness that someone else doesn't have something. It comes from a need to fill a space for someone else, as opposed to generosity, which is an inner drive. To be generous is to live in a space of willingness to give, to recognize our own abundance, and to make sure that we pass that abundance on. That's a really important factor in our unity principles, isn't it? That there is enough, to know that not only do we have enough for ourselves, but we have enough to be an abundant blessing in the world. That there is always enough. Have we really lived from that? Have we really lived out of curiosity as to where there would be more space? How will we make more space? How will we share the resources that we have? Have we lived into that sense that we are abundantly blessed? Or have we fought to find little corners, to claim spaces, to put our label on things? How important is it that we give generously from our abundant heart, from the spirit that provides for us, that moves through us as the source of our abundance, that allows us to manifest what we need in miraculous ways. And finally, we wanted to be mindful and skillful in our communication. We wanted to remember that communication is more than talking, that communication happens through our entire being. We can say very nice words to someone, and while we're saying them, we can be very stiff in our body and very resistant energetically, can't we? So we wanted to find a way to be mindful when we were communicating so that we could learn from each other, so that we could communicate our intention to be the greater unity campus, the greater community that we would be, to be inclusive. We wanted to remember that we would communicate from our hearts, that we would settle into our hearts first, and then allow our hearts to lead our words. We wanted to remember to listen well, that skillful communication means that we have a willingness to listen for something new, not to listen for those things that verify what we already believe, but to listen with an open heart and an open mind, and to be willing to allow words to change us, to grow us in new ways, to make listening as important in our communication as speaking. So have we listened? And have we listened out of a desire to get our way, or have we listened out of a desire to learn and grow together? My suspicion is that we've done a little of both of all of those things. My suspicion is that we have not always been as authentic as we want to be, and that we have maybe tried to change our friends. My suspicion is that we have maybe not always been as generous as we would like, that we maybe lost track along the way. My suspicion is that coming back to this is really important for us, to remember what it means to be hospitable, that we are hospitable to each other no matter how long we live together. That these are not roommates or renters, but that we are sharing our home with people we want to know better. These are friends, and I don't use that word lightly. There are acquaintances in the world, right? But these are friends. There are people who choose to care about us as we choose to care about them. So generosity means now to open in a new way, to be authentic and real about who we are, to notice when we haven't been artful or skillful or mindful in our communication, and to celebrate what we have learned and what we have done well. We have learned a lot. It has been a powerful experience for us. And Julia, we are so honored to have you here, to have you welcome this community into your heart, to have you share about what it meant for High Plains, where your hearts were as you were getting ready. And I know you had to do some homework to find that out, because you weren't here in those initial stages. It was a couple months before you joined us. I wonder if you could share a bit about where High Plains was and what intentions they were coming in with.
Sure. Thank you for having me this morning. And it's good to see you again. It's been a while since I've been with you. And I do think of you as friends. And we are so grateful for your invitation and your generosity and the way that you opened your home to us. And so I'd like to just share with you, I did do a little digging, and we too had some intentions set. And those intentions were accepting your abundance. Sometimes it's really hard to accept abundance, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. We also brought forward our Unitarian Universalist commitment to covenantal relating. And that's kind of a big word, but it includes reciprocity and being in right relationship with the people that we are engaged with, in these friendships, and creating some sense of mutual interdependence. We didn't want to just be dependent on you, but we wanted you to be able to depend on us as well. And then lastly, stewardship thinking about taking responsibility about how things are unfolding and who we are being with you is so much more important than what we are doing. So we wanted to be a blessing to you, not just a tenant or just a renter, but that we would actually bring blessing when we came into you. So I loved finding these, and that's actually helpful for me, because Ariana is right. I came in a few months after we entered Unity as our new home. And so, when we came, we were asking, what's the healthiest perspective that will give this relationship a good start? And of course, I think that our folks came to Unity after huge loss. We had just lost our church home. They had just lost the minister before me. They lost some of their members over that move. And so that's a really challenging time to start a new relationship after you've lost a relationship or several relationships. So it would have been easy to approach this relationship with you with fear and anxiety. But I don't know about you, but if you consider your favorite relationships and you think about how they started, do those relationships get established well from fear and anxiety? And probably not, right? So we made a concerted effort to set an intention to step out of a feeling of scarcity and loss and into accepting that abundance that you were offering us. And I think it took us a little while, but I believe that we have done that. And I'll talk a little bit later about how I kind of know that we did that. Well, actually, I'll just say it right now. When COVID hit this summer, we actually came up against the choice whether we were going to stay at Unity or not, because we realized we could save a lot of money by not being in a contract with you if we were not going to be in the space. But in discernment, what became obvious was that we had begun a relationship with another community that we valued really very much. And we felt the impact of your hospitality and your generosity and your authenticity. And I think you have seen the deep collaborative efforts between Reverend Ariana and I and our boards over the last 2 years. And then all of a sudden, Unity, you as a community, decided to give us a rent reduction after a few months under the confines of COVID. So again, we were experiencing your generosity. And so many of us realized that we couldn't leave. We actually felt a responsibility to you and a desire to maintain this relationship that we have begun with you and to maintain our covenant with you. Covenant is one of those religious words that initially can sound kind of stuffy and academic and maybe even out of date, but when you unpack the meaning of the practice of covenant or a promise to one another, there's this whole vision for how we live into this complicated, beautiful, broken world that we're in the midst of. And it's a vision that says we are most human when we bind ourselves in relationship to one another. And so this wasn't just any relationship. We realized it was a relationship of trust and mutual accountability and continuing to return from one another or to one another, and maybe return from one another as well, right? UUs don't have a creed or a statement of belief. And so we believe that what binds us together are the commitments that we make to one another. And so we feel that we've been strengthened by working through the things we've worked through together in the last couple of years. And I actually believe that I've witnessed growth in your community. I've witnessed growth in my colleague. I've witnessed growth in myself from our being together and our working together. And so we felt a responsibility to reciprocity and right relationship, and to take care of you in the ways that you were taking care of us, and to not leave you in the lurch during a difficult time, because we knew that would also be a financial burden on your community if we left. And so there is this mutual interdependence that we have created in these last 2 or 3 years. And I know that you know by now from being around us that we're not really a sit on the sidelines and let life kind of happen to us kind of religion. We're sort of a dig in there and practice our values out in the public square and out in the larger world. And we're trying anyway to be the change that we want to see. And so I believe that we're growing into better people through the relationships that we cultivate with you. And so lastly, I would just say that yesterday we had a 6-hour leadership training that included all of our leadership, and we were talking about how the function of church is to nurture our spirits and heal our world, and that all the church work we do is done for the same reason. So all of the things we do with you and for you and you for us and with us are about who we are being. And because if we're not doing these things without kindness, or if we are doing these things without kindness or intention or empathy and justice, we might as well not be doing it. So we hope that we have been a blessing. We hope we continue to be a blessing to you as you have been to us. I like something Dr. Rachel Naomi Remen, who's one of my favorite storytellers, says about blessing. She said, a blessing is not something that one person gives to another, but a blessing is a moment of meeting, a certain kind of relationship which both people involved remember and acknowledge their true nature and worth and strengthen what is whole in one another. So I like that Ariana pulled forward that as we bless each other in our differences, we also allow our diversity to help us grow and flourish with one another. So I want to bring my great gratitude from my community to you for all you've been to us in these last couple of years. And I see faces who have attended our classes, and I know some of our folks have attended your classes, and it just opens up a larger world for all of us to be in. And so as we move into the next section of what we're going to invite you to do, I actually found a little children's story that I'm going to share with my folks this afternoon, but I'd love to share with you too, because I think this is helpful for us as we are in this time of COVID and we aren't together physically. It's such an interesting thing to be together two-dimensionally like this on the screen. And how is it that we maintain those ties when we're not seeing each other physically? So I found this dear, dear story, and there's a child in all of us. So I'm going to try to share this with you just for the next couple of minutes. And this story is called The Invisible String. So can you see that now? Great. It's by Patrice Karst, illustrated by Jeff Stevenson. Oh, goodness. Excuse me just a minute. Okay. Liza and Jeremy, the twins, were asleep one calm and quiet night. Suddenly it began to rain very hard. Thunder rumbled until it got so loud it woke them up. Mommy, Mommy, they cried out as they ran to her. Don't worry, you two. It's just a storm making all of that noise. Go back to bed. We want to stay close to you, said Jeremy. We're scared. Mom said, you know, we're always together, no matter what. But how can we be together when you're out here and we're in bed, said Liza. Mom held something in front of them and said, this is how. And rubbing their sleepy eyes, the twins came closer to see what Mom was holding. I was about your age when my mommy first told me about the invisible string. I don't see a string, said Jeremy. You don't need to see the invisible string. People who love each other are always connected by a very special string made of love. But if you can't see it, how do you know that it's there, said Liza. Even though you can't see it with your eyes, you can feel it with your heart and know that you are always connected to everyone you love. When you're at school and you miss me, your love travels all the way across the string until I feel it tug in my heart. And when you tug it right back, we feel it in our hearts, said Jeremy. Does Jasper the cat have an invisible string? Liza asked. Sure she does, said Mom. And best friends like me and Lucy? Asked Liza. Best friends too. How far can the string reach? Anywhere and everywhere, Mom said. Would it reach me even if I were a submarine captain deep in the ocean? Asked Jeremy. Yes, Mom said, even there. Or a mountain climber? Even there. Or a ballerina in France? Even there. A jungle explorer? Even there. How about an astronaut out in space? Yes, even there, Mom said. And then Jeremy grew quiet and he said, can my string reach all the way to Uncle Brian in heaven? Yes, even there. Does the string go away when you're mad at us? Never, said Mom. Love is stronger than anger, and as long as love is in your heart, the string will always be there. Even when you get older and can't agree about things like what movie to see, or who gets to ride in the front seat, or what time it is to go to bed. Oh, that's right, you two should be in bed. And with that, they all laughed as Mom chased the twins back to their beds. And within a few minutes, they were asleep, even though the storm was still making the same loud noises outside. As they slept, they started dreaming of all the invisible strings they have, and all the strings their friends have, and their friends have, and their friends have, until everyone in the world was connected by invisible strings. And from deep inside, they now could clearly see no one is ever alone. So I just wanted to share that with you. Yeah, thank you. I love this. I just wanted to share that with you because I do believe that even though we aren't in physical proximity to one another, we are still connected. We can still be connected and very intentional about the relationships that we have moving forward together with you this year. And Ariana and I have already made some plans about some things in the next 3 or 4 months for us to be doing together. So thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you so much. That's a really sweet story, Julia. We, yeah, tying each other, recognizing the invisible thread that runs between us. It's kind of that world web that we talk about, isn't it? Not the cyber web, but the web of love that spreads between us all through. So we wanted to do something a little physical to represent how we are tied together, that we are tying our hearts together. And we also wanted to remind ourselves that we do have a Unity campus. Even though we're not going into it right now, that there is this space that still holds us and holds our intention to be a bigger community than either of our communities could be alone. So I just want to show you this picture. Mark went up there this morning, and what we have done is on the front tree, we have put up some ropes all around. It's not an invisible thread, it's a very visible thread. And we want to invite you to participate with us on Thursday. We want to do this at a specific time. You can only come up one at a time, so we are going to be there between 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock on Thursday. And we'll do some videotaping and we'll put something together for you so you can see each other. But we want to invite you to leave a blessing for the greater community. And you can do it in lots of different ways. So what Mark and I found this morning was some ribbon. And we had originally talked about strips of fabric, but we didn't have any fabric. We just had ribbon this morning that I could find. So we wrote on a strip of ribbon what our blessing was, and then Mark went up and tied them on. So what we want you to do is come up on Thursday, and we'll send out a note to remind you anytime between 3 and 7. And if no one is standing at the tree, then just walk up to the tree and tie on a strip of fabric or a ribbon with your blessing. And in that way, we want to symbolically tie ourselves together to represent, again, that very strong tie that exists between us, that is the bond that we make with one another based on our intentions to be together, to be stronger because we're together, to grow in wisdom because we're together, to grow our souls. This year, Julia and I are we're very committed to getting the communities together. Julia mentioned that our two boards work together pretty regularly, and Julia and I work together all the time, talking about various things that are going on and how we do them well and what we can do. But we know that there hasn't been enough opportunity for the communities to join each other. So we have something planned in October, an ancestral dinner that we will do online. We will do it together online as a joint community. And then we have an event the Sunday before, I think do you know what the October date is, Julia? I know, I'm sorry, should have thought to bring that. We have an event, were you gonna say something? Go ahead, my dear.
I was just I'll look up the dates while you're talking, go ahead.
Okay, then we have the Sunday before Thanksgiving. We will have a joint gathering, and it'll be a gratitude gathering, and we will come together like this, and then we'll break into groups and share with each other our what we're grateful for. And then we're going to do a joint solstice ceremony on the 20th of December. And each of those holiday opportunities are going to be not seated in either theology, but seated in the areas that we share as humanity, so that we have a chance to visit with people from each other's communities, to have our communities really get to know one another, and to share things that are personal, to share what you remember about those who are maybe no longer with you and what ancestry means to us, to share our gratitude for life, and to share how the light of love travels through so many different faiths and traditions and what our own personal traditions are. And I know that in November, High Plains generally and the Unitarians generally do a bread communion. So we thought that maybe in the month of November, we would collect your favorite bread and pastry recipes, and we'll put them all together and we'll have them for you that morning. We'll have them as an e-file for you that morning or that afternoon so that you can take those right before Thanksgiving and see if you want to try something new for Thanksgiving and into the holiday season. So Julia, I know you have a blessing. I will read mine to you. Mine is very simple. It just says, may we grow in love and wisdom. May we grow in love and wisdom. That's what's in my heart. And I'm so glad you're here.
Nice, thank you. I've put the 3 dates in the chat. So if you want to just open your chat and take a look at them, you can. I brought one of my favorite poems written by one of my mentors, Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker, who was the president of my seminary. Actually, she was the first female seminary president in the country. There are lots of women seminary presidents now, but at the time that wasn't the case. So I'd like to read her poem called Choose to Bless the World.
Julia, can I ask, as you start, I want to invite you to close your eyes and to hear these words. And as we close our eyes, we'll listen through these words, and then we'll take a moment or two for quiet meditation afterwards and let these words settle in.
Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question. What will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith. The life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us can save the world alone. Together, that is another possibility waiting. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It's an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all of life, even yours. And while there is injustice, anesthetization, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting that which is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. Amen, blessed be. Invite a deep breath and let's just sit with these words for a moment.
In this moment, let us recommit our hearts, remembering that these intentions that we set together grow us, grow our spirits, bring our hearts together through that invisible thread. Let us remember that we are always connected, one to the other, community to community, community to city, city to state, to country to world, to that which is holy and connects us all. Let us remember that we are one, inseparable in love. And so it is. Amen.
Imagine we're in heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there are no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I know someday they're all gonna join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I don't know if I can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I know I'm not the only one. 'Cause I know someday they're all gonna join us, and the world will live as one. No, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I know I'm not the only one. I know someday they're all gonna join us, and the world will be one. The world is one, and live as one.
Thank you, Connie. Gosh, that's beautiful. What a sweet morning we've had, friends. Thank you for being here. A couple of really quick messages. Just want to let you know we successfully raised the money that we need to buy soccer balls and uniforms. Yay, good job. Our friends in Uganda this is so important for them. This is what these young men have to do. And it's a very different circumstance that they're living in. The ability to play, to laugh when you're in a refugee camp, that's so incredibly important, to have what they need to be able to do that and to get to know each other and to build team spirit and all of that, to build the spirit of community. When so many of these refugees come from so many different areas in Africa. So I just want to say thank you so much for your generosity there, and remind you also, as we're talking about generosity, that September is our month to provide food for Westside Cares and the food bank. And so we're coming up on that. And next week, Jamie will have more information for us as to how we do that when we're not in our building and we can't bring things there. So we'll give you all of that. That's coming up. I want to thank you for your generous hearts when it comes to Unity Spiritual Center. Your giving has not waned, even though we're changing and moving and morphing and doing all of this different stuff. And that giving, and combined with the help of High Plains, which has been really, really even more important to us than it was in the past because of all of the shifts and changes, that has kept us afloat. I just really want you to know how much I appreciate your giving spirit. You know that you can give through the donate button on the website. Chris will put that information if you need it. By now, I think most of our folks have it. But if you need to know how you can give, you can always send a check, and you can always give through the website. And your giving is making a difference on so many levels in our home community, in our city, and around, literally around the world. So thank you for that. Watch in your e-blast for some information about your ribbon and when to show up. Thursday between 3 and 7 in the afternoon. That means you can come by after work. Just make sure that you bring a mask and make sure that you come up one at a time so that we create plenty of social distance for everybody. I want to hold in our hands the gift of our abundance and repeat our affirmation of abundance together. If you don't know this, just listen to the words. Divine love through me. Oh, what happens if you forget the words? Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. That happens every once in a while. When you guys are all together, it's not a problem because you just take it and it's fine. It's harder when you're sitting here in the room by yourself, even with all these people, and I can't hear you. I had the opportunity to stand in our sanctuary not too long ago, and I realized that that was the thing that I missed the most. What I miss the most is being able to hear your voices. And I look forward to that time when we can sing together and we can chant together and we can pray together and we can hear each other. And I know that it's coming, and I know that you know that as well. So for now, let us be grateful for the strength that we have, for the strength of this community and how powerfully we're moving through this. Let us pray our way out, shall we? We stand together as one heart, connected by that invisible thread, connected by something that isn't fine or easily broken, but by something that is strong and powerful, something that nurtures each spirit as it moves through us, connected by that web of love, connected by our intentions, and connected as we learn and as we grow in gratitude. For this morning, for our lives together, for the blessing of community, for the blessing of every heart that gathers as community, for the blessing of our sacred space, a little bit of the earth that is a place for us. For all of these blessings, we're grateful. And we close with thanks. And so it is, and amen.
As we end our time together here this morning, I invite you to sing along and to have, again, everyone in gallery view so you can see all your beautiful faces, and have a blessed week. Let the light within you shine. We are all connected. Look into another's eyes. See your light reflected. We are one light shining souls in harmony. We shine